Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Instead of doing a full workout today, I thought it would be of great use if we went over just a warm-up routine that you could do every day when you first wake up or halfway through the day on the days when we're not doing full sessions. Just because you're not doing a full exercise routine doesn't mean there aren't a few things that you could do quickly that are going to be of great benefit to you. So these are the top exercises that I would do every single day, or at least the days that I have time. So as you know, many of these are going to be in our own exercises that we do on a regular basis. So many of them are going to seem familiar. Some of them involve rotating left and right, some of them involve bending forwards or backwards, and some of them are just for your neck and your shoulders. So I'm going to start with your neck and your head. I would start, instead of holding any of these stretches, I'd start by doing a dynamic stretch, and that simply means we're running a muscle or muscle group through a full range of motion, or a joint through its full range of motion without stopping to pause and hold the stretch. We'll only hold stretches when we're already warm. So this is the first one that I would start with. I just simply look as far as I can to the right, and then I look as far as I can to the left. And I'm only holding it for a brief moment. And I would do that anywhere from 5 to 10 times. And then I would start tilting my head to the left and tilting it to the right. And some of you are only going to be able to tilt it a very small amount. Some of you will be able to tilt it more on one side than on the other. I would really be focusing on where my restrictions are, and I'd be working on trying to improve more flexibility on the side that I'm naturally a little less flexible on. And then I would look all the way up and then tuck my chin in toward my chest. And it's important when you look up that you try to keep your jawline closed so that you can really stretch out these muscles running from your jawline down to your collarbone. Again, I'm running through a range of motion here, only holding each position for a brief moment. I'm not trying to get a deep stretch here. And then lastly, this is one that we don't always do, I'm going to tilt my head slightly to the left and pull it forward. So I'm doing an angular movement here. To the left, slightly to the left and forwards, and then slightly to the right and forwards. And that's just to make sure that I'm hitting all the muscles in my neck. Again, I would do that 5 or 6 times. Once my neck is warmed up, I'm going to start thinking about my hips, my back, and my legs, and my core. So these are two that I really like to do. I'm going to tuck my chin into more towards my chest. I'm going to allow my shoulders to shrug forwards and keep my palms on my thighs. I'm going to tuck my tailbone in. And I'm going to let my knees flex as I lower down. I'm going to go as low as I can go. And towards the bottom, I like to go low enough that I can feel a light stretch in my hamstrings. Again, it doesn't have to be a deep stretch. And then I rise up, I push my hips forwards, I unfurl my spine one vertebra at a time, I pull my shoulders back. Don't miss this out on this one, everyone. I rotate the arms so the palms face straight ahead. I look up to the ceiling, I take a deep breath in. So now I'm stretching out my chest, and I'm starting to work on my shoulders and my rotator cuff muscles. Now I turn my palms back to my hips, and I'm going to roll down again. And I would do that anywhere from 2 to 6 times, 2 to 10 times. Listen to your body and make sure you're not taxing yourself. Again, I intend for these to be movements that you could do often on a regular basis if possible. The next one I would do, now that you're starting to warm up your core, I keep my spine straight. So just a slight pull back of the tailbone, only slight. Then I'm going to push my hips back, and I'm going to support my palms on my thighs. So my upper body weight can, if need be, rest on my thighs, although it doesn't necessarily need to be the case. I'm going to continue to push my hips back, so my weight's truly in my heels. And then if you need to stop here and press right up, push the hips forwards to rise, and once again, I rotate the shoulders, rotate the whole arm externally, pull the shoulders back. I look up to the ceiling, I take a deep breath in, my rib cage is elevated, so I'm giving my abdominal wall a light stretch. And then I'm going to turn the arms in again, palms on my thigh, push the hips back, and lower down again. If you can go a little further and release the hands, by all means, and you can even let the knees bend a little bit here as well. The important point is that you're not going to let the tailbone tuck in for this one. You're not going to allow yourself to have this awful rounded posture. For this one, you're going to need nice, straight, strong back. So if you reach a point where you feel like that is going to go away, don't go beyond that point. Make sure you go as far as you can with good, clean form. Once that's done, I'm going to start focusing on side bending and rotational movements. So the next one that I would do is get a nice wide stance of my feet. I'd place my palms on the sides of my thighs, and then I would lean to my left slightly and lean, or I should actually say reach down with my right. I'm not trying to displace all of my weight onto one foot and then onto the other, as though I was shifting, right? All I'm doing is extending one side of my body up to the ceiling. I'm not pulling my body to the side. Once again, I'm stretching out one side of my body. And then once I hit my limit, then I'm going to come back to position, my neutral position, and repeat on the other side. For those of you who have already good shoulder mobility, I would have you raise up one arm. And then as I elongate this side, that's going to allow this arm to cross a little bit over to my opposite side. Once again, I haven't actually shifted any weight. I'm still grounded over both feet. And then I bring that hand down and I alternate to the other side because I'm not intending to hold these. Again, this is something that you can do on a daily basis. Maybe you've just woken up. You're not really warm enough to be doing static stretches where you stretch deeply and hold position. Now that that is done, we're just going to work on the rotational movements. So this is going to be where some of you are going to make some adjustments. For those of you who are able to twist through the waist, then I would again adopt a slightly wider than shoulder width position of my feet, maybe shoulder width if that works for you. I'm going to shift my weight a little bit more over one side, although I'm still on both feet, and I'm going to pivot on the ball of my opposite foot. So what I'm doing is I'm twisting, let's say to my right, my opposite foot, the heel raises, and that allows me to rotate. If you are capable of rotating through the waist as well, then I'm going to continue to rotate through the waist and then come back to a neutral position. And then I do the same thing on the other side. So if I rotate to the left, it's my opposite foot, my right heel raises, and I pivot on the ball of that foot. You'll notice the first part of the movement is only legs and hips that rotate. My chest, my shoulders, my head, my whole spine stays in line. No rotation yet. This is all through the hips and the legs. If you are able to rotate through the waist, then you can continue to twist a little bit further. Yeah? Now this is obviously not on the same plane as a golf swing, but you could think of a golf swing when you're doing it. And even though it's not exactly on the same plane, for those of you who like to golf, this will help you if you're doing it on a regular basis. So I'd swing from left to right. And if I can't twist through the waist, I just focus on doing it through the legs and the feet because that's still going to be a great benefit to your legs and to your hips. And that concludes my daily warm-up and exercise routine. So try and run through those on the days that I'm not putting on my videos or on weekends and let me know what you think.